what I want to say, because I always go off track when I start talking. And I forget what I wanted to say. First of all, it's such an honor and a privilege for me to be here today to celebrate the life of Achmat, and also to commemorate the beginning of the scholarship fund for the master's student who we haven't been told whether they're here or not today.
It's still coming. The announcement is
Oh,
still
I see. Okay, but anyway, it's wonderful to be here. I really feel humbled to be here, to speak today in praise of a great South African artist, a dedicated freedom fighter, a man of compassion and integrity, and a beautiful, beautiful human being. I have sharp memories of my unplanned encounters with Achmat towards the end of his life, at the Kilani Mall of all places. He still went shopping for his family. His demeanor in those last days evoked awe in me, and I remember thinking then how he was one of the bravest people I ever known. He simply did not waste time. He never wasted time. So to be his friend meant a lot, because it meant he made the time that he did not have for you, and you were special. He led a deliberated, purposeful life in person and in the public, but he also knew how to laugh. It was written all over him. Sometimes we would stop and talk briefly, and at other times I would see him and walk the other way, because I could not bear the sharp gaze which was in argument with his then very frail body. I had met Achmat at a time when all of us were fighting against apartheid, and we thought at that time when I met him that the madness of apartheid, as Njabulo calls it, or Mandlalanga, was expiring. Political events were rushing towards negotiations, and the long political exile was about to end. As political activists who worked in the arts, we held high hopes that the doors of culture would soon be opened. In exile, we had relied for guidance for our work from those inside South Africa and the burgeoning creative bodies which were formed by the inspiration of the Black consciousness movement. They had produced a new generation of creatives, led mainly by poets, who spoke truth to the power of apartheid and rallied the people of our country to stand up against the brutal regime which did not hesitate to detain, imprison, ban, torture, and even execute those who expressed their opposition. We devoured every magazine, journal, newspaper from home, and we were ravished by developments such as the establishment of the Raven Press, of Scotterville, and other journals that mushroomed all over South Africa. Dango, Mafika Gwala, Sipamla, Mjali, their names were on our lips, and it is interesting to note that in the period in which political repression impacted most cruelly on the lives of the oppressed and those who challenged the systems, also gave rise to the greatest number of cultural groupings in the poorest neighborhoods of South Africa. There is great scope for a constructive discussion among ourselves about how culture can still play a role in a positive and balanced manner that will not only address our material desires, but also our values. Our mental life, our mindfulness regarding our environment, everything about our lives is about culture, and it is about the written word. Aesthetic appreciation cannot be the preserve of a fortunate few at the right place and at the right time. This then is the conversation that I think Achmat would have wanted from us. This foundation is a first step in that direction, to create the possibility for more people to read more books of Achmat and of his fellow writers, to write plays, films, and documentaries, children's stories and poems and librettos, essays, travel stories, health stories, crime stories, all the stories that we have. I often say that we talk a lot about the harm that apartheid has wreaked on us, but we do not speak about how to heal the minds of those people, all the people who have been affected by apartheid. And for me, writing, culture, all the forms of culture is one way in which we can begin to address some of the ills in our society. Finally, I just want to say that I think that our liberation struggle, the success of our liberation struggle was the product of an international solidarity movement. And it is because Oliver Tambo conceived of the notion that yes, South African people are human beings, and the crime that is being perpetrated against them is a human crime, and therefore it affects everyone in the world. And indeed, the world responded to it. And I wonder how many of our school children, or even high school children, or even university students know or care about what is happening in Sudan, or what is happening in Somalia, or what is happening in Gaza, or what is happening in Yemen, and so forth and so on. Because I think that to be focused on yourself and your narrow experience does not lead to the making of new citizens that can contribute something to a new society. We need very much to go back and think, and go back to that international community and be part of that international community, and find ways in which we can address I won't even say the institutions, address the conditions, because we don't have the institutions that are addressed. And I think that, I know that Achmat Dangor dedicated his life to that. Thank you.